This is Uganda, a mysterious land of towering peaks, wild islands, and record-breaking waterways. Home to mountain giants, ancient traditions, and the greatest biodiversity in Africa. This is Uganda from above. Located in the heart of the continent, between two branches of the Great Rift Valley, Uganda is known as the Pearl of Africa for its extraordinary beauty. This aerial journey travels east across the country, from the Western Mountains to the shores of Lake Victoria, beginning at the southwestern border. The Virungas, a mountainous chain stretching across Uganda, Rwanda, and the Congo. Deriving from the Kinyarwanda word for volcano, the Virungas comprise 8 major volcanic mountains, 2 of which remain active to this day. They're adorned with some of Africa's oldest rainforests. Supporting more life than anywhere else on the continent. Isolated and impenetrable, this was the last area to be explored by Europeans. When they finally arrived, early adventurers reported terrifying encounters with a giant creature in the jungle depths. Today, Max Planck researcher Julius Mutale is on the hunt to find this elusive animal. His search is centered in the Bwindi National Park, a part of the Virungas that's so densely forested it can only be accessed on foot. The thick canopy means little sunlight reaches the ground. And with 321 square kilometers of impenetrable forest, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But broken branches and fresh dung mean Julius is within the giant's domain. Now, all he can do is wait.
I really love being with the gorillas, and when I'm studying them, I feel like I'm part of them and they're part of me.
Mountain gorillas are adapted to live at high altitudes. They have thicker fur than any other primate to cope with the lofty, cold climate. Despite weighing as much as grizzly bears, they live primarily off leaves. Gorillas are known to eat over 140 different kinds of foliage. Their insatiable appetite is well catered for in Bwindi, because there are more than 400 species of plant in this forest. combination of a high altitude of over 2,500 meters above sea level and the extraordinary amount of plant life has made Bwindi one of the mountain gorilla's last strongholds.
Bwindi itself has got 459 gorillas, so it harbors half of the population of the mountain gorillas in the world.
With around 1,000 individuals now left in the wild, every one of Uganda's gorillas is precious. The little newborns are the future of the species. And fortunately, they have a protective guardian watching over them. The large silverback is a formidable giant of the mountains, yet there is a threat that even he can't protect his troop from. Habitat destruction and poaching are pushing mountain gorillas to the brink of extinction. But there is hope for these rare primates. The park's boundary shows how conservation is stopping the destruction of the Virunga rainforest in its tracks.
If we take conservation seriously, the gorillas have got a better chance to thrive in their natural habitat.
Today, the forests are off limits to human settlement. But it wasn't always this way. Ancient texts described mysterious people who lived in these remote jungles. Today, the descendants of that ancient forest tribe still roam the hillsides. Hagumimana Kanya Bikingaba is a member of the Batwa people who have lived, hunted and worshipped in the Virunga forests for millennia.
Nze kuvuka kwanze navukiye mu shamba. Ariko mvukiye mu shamba imire yo mu shamba narezwe n'inyama.
When the forest became a national park, the Batwa were relocated. But they still returned to their ancestral home to harvest natural medicines. Over 300 medicinal species have been identified in the forests. African cherry bark is used to treat chest and lung infections, while the leaves of the African dogwood help arthritis and stomach problems. Although the Batwa people must now live outside the forest, they're teaching their traditions to the next generation, passing on the survival skills and deep understanding of the forest learned by their ancestors. Though they no longer sleep beneath its canopy, the 4 millennia-old connection between the Batwa and the jungles of the Virungas still endures. Beyond the lush forests of the national parks, the landscape turns to farmland. But these are no ordinary fields. Lying at an angle of nearly 45 degrees, they're some of the steepest fields on Earth and worked by hand. Meet Michael. In the absence of any flat land, he farms this. It's not only steep, it's a volcano. And it's not alone. All the mountains in southwest Uganda are volcanic, formed by the Great Rift Valley ripping apart East Africa.
That mountain resort erupted And that fear, we have it.
For now, the volcanoes in Uganda are dormant. But just over the border in Congo, lava lakes bubble restlessly. These are the most active volcanoes in Africa. And that's ultimately what makes farming here so appealing.
Being a volcanic soil it is so good because the volcanic soils are ever fertile.
Over the millennia, eruptions have carpeted western Uganda in a thick layer of mineral-rich ash, creating some of the most productive farmland on the planet, allowing Michael to grow a range of vegetables from sweet potato to beans and peas. Despite the daily workout hiking to the top and the fact that his fields could explode in the future, Michael wouldn't want to farm anywhere else.
I do enjoy living here because it is my place. I was born and I found myself here. Even if it is hilly, I like my area.
The volcanoes of Uganda may be sleeping, but signs of the underlying rift in the Earth's crust still bubble to the surface. This is Kitagata Hot Spring, where water gurgles out from deep underground at 80 degrees Celsius. Rich in minerals from its journey through the crust, the thermal waters are believed to have healing properties. And people travel from all over the country to bathe here. 68-year-old Samson has been soaking in these waters his whole life.
It heals, goes inside. When you sit in the waters, the veins and the whole body opens up.
Faith in the healing power of thermal springs is backed by scientific research. Sulfur within the water has been proven to help skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema, while minerals such as sodium can boost blood circulation. Locals like Samson also drink the water to help settle stomach problems. But for him, bathing here is about more than just maintaining good health.
People who thought it was for sick people. Now it is no longer for sick people. It is for leisure.
As the rock beneath this part of Africa continues to rip apart, more hot springs are likely to burst to the surface, ready to be enjoyed. From the air, what seems like more thick forest blankets the landscape. This green swathe is in fact covered with the fastest growing plant on Earth. Bamboo can grow up to 1 meter a day, and Ugandans have been building with it for centuries. Local entrepreneur Kasoma Nordin is using the plant to make something truly original. Bicycles.
Building the bike actually starts in the forest. When I look at the bamboo, I'll know, okay, I'll get the down tube in this space, I'll get the top tube, and probably I can get some chain stays and seat stays at the top of it. So every stem, you can have a single bike.
Kasoma runs Bugali bikes and has been making frames for over 20 years. His bamboo creations rival the best carbon fiber bikes on the market.
People really appreciate light bicycles. So we try to select the right tubes, strong and really light, and then I'll harvest that.
Back at his workshop, Kasoma handcrafts every bike. Studies have found that bamboo fiber is stronger than steel and more durable than carbon fiber. It's also cheaper than both. Each tube is filled with fleshy lignin, which acts like a natural shock absorber for a smoother ride. Kasomo uses tree bark to bind the frame together. After a coat of insect-proof resin, the finished product is ready to ride. With extreme inclines and exceptional views, southern Uganda's mountain roads are the best place for him to test ride his creations.
You go places on your bike and you feel free, you feel you're really yourself, you know. Some of my customers have carbon fiber bikes, aluminum bikes, and I want them to feel the feel of the bamboo, something natural, something green.
Kasomo hopes his environmentally friendly frames will one day be adopted by riders around the world. Leaving the southern mountains behind, this journey travels northeast to Uganda's Queen Elizabeth National Park. Here, the great jungles of Central Africa give way to the grassland savannas of the eastern continent. Queen Elizabeth is one of Uganda's oldest national parks. It was decimated during the Tanzanian-Ugandan War in the 1970s, when military dictator Idi Amin instructed his troops to treat the park as their personal larder. Pristine habitats were blown apart. After 40 years of peace, however, Queen Elizabeth Park's wildlife has made an extraordinary comeback. Many of its iconic residents have returned, but finding the king of the savannah isn't so easy from above. These laid-back felines are one of only 2 populations of lions on the planet that are known to make a habit of tree climbing. There's something else unusual about Queen Elizabeth Park. Viewed from above, dozens of mysterious craters pockmark the landscape. These are crater lakes, formed by steam and volcanic gases exploding out of the surface rock and then filling with water. Minerals in the crater bed make these waters extremely saline. And little survives in these alien-looking lagoons. East Africa's Great Rift Valley is the driving force behind this breathtaking landscape. For millions of years, the African tectonic plate has been splitting into 2. This tear in the earth spawned other craters which filled with fresh water to create the Rift Lakes. Like Queen Elizabeth Park's Lake George. Fueled by numerous rivers, it covers over 250 square kilometers. The lake is a wildlife paradise with 150 species of bird seeking the glistening waters. A bird's eye view reveals a geological quirk, the Kazinga Channel. This ribbon of water stretches for 32 kilometers and connects to the much larger Lake Edward, which rests on the border of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The wetlands along the shore of this unique stretch of water provide the perfect spot for buffalo to cool off, crocodiles to bask in the sun, and hippos to wallow in the channel's shallow waters. The Queen Elizabeth Park is dominated by its varied lakes. North of the park, the source of all this water rises above the savanna plains. The Ruwenzori Mountains, or as described by ancient Greek explorers, the Mountains of the Moon, after their white, snowy peaks. Now the mountain glaciers have all but disappeared. In the local language, Ruwenzori means rainmaker. And it's an apt description. It rains 350 days a year here. Rising to an altitude of 5,000 meters, the mountain peaks condense moist air from the vast rainforests of the Congo Basin to the west, which cascades down their slopes, feeding the Great Lakes and mighty rivers of the savanna below. The force of water coming off the Ruwenzori Mountains is exceptional. Wreckage of homes destroyed by flash floods scar the mountainside. Downstream, the impact of Ruwenzori water on the landscape is no less dramatic. Great canyons slice through the savanna plains. Like the 1 kilometer wide Kiamburu Gorge, the largest chasm in East Africa. Humidity from the Kiamburu River supports lush rainforest within the canyon walls, in striking contrast to the grassland above. East of the Ruwenzori Mountains, grassland savanna stretches for hundreds of kilometers. This part of Uganda is home to Africa's most iconic domestic beast, the Ankole longhorn cow. These are the descendants of an ancient breed of cattle that lived in Africa 6,000 years ago and are perfectly adapted to Uganda's equatorial climate. Their impressive horns function primarily as a cooling device, dissipating heat from the blood across a huge surface area, while the large muscle on the back of their neck supports the extra weight. Ankole have historically been the property of the Bahima people, traditional pastoralists like Eric. Bahima herdsmen have roamed these plains for centuries. But Eric is now one of the last remaining Ankole owners. Almost all other herders now favor high milk-yielding foreign cows, like the Frisian. This, however, has proved short-sighted. While his colleagues crippled themselves with costs trying to keep their Frisians alive, Eric's Ankole herd require only a cheap insect spray every once in a while. The natural immunity they've developed over centuries of grazing in this part of Africa looks set to save the breed from near extinction. Eric now hopes to help other herders regain their Ankole stock. Seeing how close the country came to losing the ancient breed makes him love his cattle even more. Continuing east, the rolling savanna hills are broken up by huge plantations. Uganda is known for its tea and coffee production, which earns the country around 500 million euros in exports a year. But 3/4 of farmers here also grow another crop that's far more important to Ugandans: bananas. The combination of Uganda's hot tropical climate and rich volcanic soils creates the perfect growing conditions. It's now the largest producers of bananas in sub-Saharan Africa. Over 9 million tons are harvested each year by farmers like Zuleika Kasuja.
Omuganda yenna asinga kuwoomerwa ttooke. Era okusanga amaka ag'Abaganda omutali kitooke si kyangu. Ffe tusimba amatooke, Abaganda twagala nnyo amatooke.
Bananas are harvested by hand, cutting down the whole stem of each plant. Although they look like trees, they're actually giant herbs, and the stems die back anyway after fruiting. In central Uganda, entire markets are devoted solely to the fruit. Where in Europe you'll find just one type of banana for sale, here there are 50 different varieties, each with their own unique texture and flavour. Local customs even dictate which varieties are eaten when, with events like the birth of a boy, a girl or twins each being associated with a different type of banana. By far the most popular, however, are the green cooking bananas that form the country's staple food. Matoke.
Mivunga manyi ngenda kuliya emmere yaffe. Eri nze mutuufu nsinga kuwoomerwa ttooke.
Matoke is much more starchy than regular bananas, so it must be cooked for hours, wrapped in the green leaves for steaming.
Kugizaako n'ogira n'ozzaako n'osaaniika n'ogikuuma ng'eyo gye wafumbye ku ssaawa 6 egy'emisana n'otuuka ekiro saa 3 ng'ekyayo kya bulungi ogisaaniise bulungi endagala eggumidde.
Steaming matoke breaks down its starchy fibres so it can be mashed like potatoes. As the most widely available food in the country, Ugandans eat around 1 kilo a day, more than any other nation on earth. And thanks to the plentiful supply, they show no sign of stopping. Nestled within the seemingly endless banana groves are the occasional mutuba tree. Their wood and fruit hold little value, but these unassuming trees are used to create something uniquely Ugandan. Yusuf is one of the few remaining masters of the ancient African craft of making bark cloth.
Ebbanga okuva nze we natandikira okutegeera gwe mulimo gwe nasanga owaka.
These sheets of terracotta fabric are made entirely of tree bark, a cloth worn by local royalty as far back as the 12th century. Predating the development of weaving, it's one of humanity's oldest textiles, as well as one of the most labour-intensive to create.
Okutwalira awamu bw'oba oyagala ekirungi omala kumenyeka. Olubugo olwo si lwe lwangu era olumala okuluyimbula.
Armed with a machete, Yusuf heads out to harvest the bark. Having found a tree, he measures out the length he needs and makes the initial cuts. Next, he creates a chisel out of a fresh banana stem and slides it up the inside of the bark after the machete blade. The gelatinous resin released by the freshly cut banana coats the exposed trunk beneath, protecting it from damage by insects or the sun. The bark comes off as a single piece. Finally, Yusuf wraps the bare trunk in a blanket of banana leaves. Eventually, a fresh layer of bark will form beneath it, ready for the next harvest.
nga tegwonoonese wano mu kujjako ne gufa gumala emyaka 4 era ze nnyimbula 4 awo ne gufuuka enku.
Back at his workshop, the fresh bark is boiled to extract the sap. And then the real work begins. Hours and hours of hammering.
Bw'ova mu kuttula n'olyoka olukuba ne lugaziwa ne lufuuka olubugo.
With each strike of the mallet, the fibres within the bark slowly expand, stretching 5 times its original width. Any tears are carefully stitched together using a strand of inner bark as a thread. And then the finished piece is left to dry in the sun. Bark cloth is extremely durable. And being carbon neutral, there's now a growing global interest in the cloth as a plant-based alternative to leather. As demand for the ancient fabric steadily increases, Yusuf's family business looks set for a bright future.
Kibanga kyalimu musaayi nga kyakkomaganga nze bwe kyayitamu. Ayagala nja kubeera naye ayige era njagala ne bwe mba nvuddewo nabo bagukwe. Kuba nange nkola gwa jjajjange.
Continuing east, we reach the shores of Africa's greatest lake, Victoria, which envelops much of southeast Uganda. Covering nearly 70,000 square kilometers, Lake Victoria is larger than Croatia and straddles the borders of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Despite its huge size, the average depth is just 40 meters, and it has dried up at least 3 times in its history. Flying over the shoreline, the lake waters stretch unbroken for hundreds of kilometers. But out beyond the horizon are over 1,000 islands, each with their own communities, customs, and wildlife. One of the most interesting, just 5 kilometers off the coast, is the island of Musambwa. Musambwa means spirits, but the spirits living here share their home with some loud neighbors. 200,000 nesting birds, some of which have traveled all the way from Europe. Ibis, cormorants, pelicans, and egret call the island home. But they're vastly outnumbered by grey-headed gulls. This is the largest colony in Africa. Within this avian community, there are distinct neighborhoods. The gulls nest on the ground, while the cormorants make use of the available trees. And black-headed weaver birds dangle their nests from the lower branches. As if the island wasn't crowded enough, it's also home to a community of Ugandan fishermen. 99-year-old Emmanuel Katangole is the island's oldest resident. The fishermen are careful to keep the spirits of the island happy, and it's forbidden to eat the birds or their eggs, or to bring women onto the island.
Abakazi kuno Musambwa yabagaana ekizinga kyagaana janaswako neyebaka n'omusajja nga empewo amayumba kumpi kugwa.
The superstitions surrounding this remote island mean men here rarely have wives or girlfriends, even back on the mainland. But they do have plenty of work. Each morning they head out to fish. and evenings are dedicated to maintenance. Weaver birds make use of the unwanted threads, deftly weaving them into their nests. Lake Victoria is known locally as Nalubale, or home of the gods. The fishermen make prayers and sacrifices to keep them on side. Storms can arrive without warning, and numerous boats have been sunk by the waves the winds whip up. Most of the island's spirits are invisible, but one can be seen slithering over the rocks. Forest cobras. Around 1,000 are found on Musambwa. Despite the fact that a bite could kill a man in under half an hour, the snakes are respected by the fishermen, and one entering a house is seen as a spiritual visitation. In response to the men's warm welcome, the cobras have abandoned their defensive behavior. In the history of the island, there has never been a fatal snake bite. 100 kilometers northeast of Musambwa lies an island with an equally unexpected set of residents. Namba Island. This rainforest-clad patch of rock, 27 kilometers off the Ugandan coast, has become a refuge for humanity's closest living relatives. 52 chimpanzees live on Namba. Each of them orphaned or rescued from habitat destruction or the illegal pet and bushmeat trade by the Chimpanzee Sanctuary and Wildlife Conservation Trust. The trauma these chimps suffered means they can never be released back into the wild. But here, they are free to roam the island. Many exhibit natural behaviors like using sticks as a makeshift fishing rod to lure termites. Even the park's lakes are not off limits, although chimps are not naturally great swimmers. A low body fat ratio makes them prone to sinking, so they cling to branches when wading out. They may not be truly wild, but Namba gives the chimps a second chance. Keeper Joseph Kali has dedicated his life to caring for them.
I love my job because I love these animals and I work with them passionately because I need to save them as I love them.
Ngamba Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary started way back in 1998.
So every chimpanzee has got stories to tell.
Namba's keepers work hard to build individual relationships with every resident.
They don't trust humans basing on what happened to them. I feel I have a connection with them because they know each of us as the keepers.
To ensure no chimp goes hungry, the keepers supplement their diet with an evening meal. Joseph carefully prepares a nutritious mix of fruit and vegetables for each of the island's residents. The enclosures offer a safe environment for the chimps and an opportunity for the keepers and researchers to observe their behavior.
Those unique behaviors, they inspire me so much. The way they behave generally, the way they act, the way they think, it's very close to human beings. So that's why I love them.
With chimpanzees under threat, passionate conservationists like Joseph are vital for their protection. Just 30 kilometers north of Namba Island lies Uganda's bustling capital, Kampala. With a population of over 1.6 million people, Kampala is one of the fastest growing cities in Africa. Shiny new skyscrapers and tech centers rise out of the red earth, along with ever-expanding informal settlements at the city limits. Some of the city's most iconic architecture belongs to its religious buildings. The most striking is the Catholic Basilica at Namugongo. This vast dome is based on the shape of a traditional African hut, but is large enough to hold over 1,000 worshippers. The resident priest, Father Vincent Rubega, has been leading worship here for the last 5 years.
I come every day to pray here. I feel daily renewed and strengthened. It's not easy to keep managing a place so big like this, but I've never failed because of the energy I get from this place.
The basilica is known as the Shrine of the Ugandan Martyrs, built on the spot where King Mwanga enacted a reign of persecution against Christians, which ultimately led to the execution of 22 pages.
This shrine is built on 22 pillars. 22 pillars depicting the 22 Uganda martyrs who were murdered here. And it's in a form of an African hut. A hut is a house, a hut is a place of warmth, a security. So it's a message to all those who come here, that when you come here, you come to a place of renewal, a place of security.
The well where the executioner supposedly washed the martyr's blood from his weapons has been preserved as a lake. Its waters are believed to have healing properties.
There are many testimonies that indeed, for us we call them miracles, have happened within this shrine.
Over 80% of Ugandans identify as Christian, and Namugongo has become an important pilgrimage site. Every year on June the 3rd, nearly 3 million Christians from Uganda and around the world gather here to pay tribute to the lives of the martyrs, drawing strength and faith from their memory. Just a few kilometers outside Kampala, inlets and swamps from Lake Victoria break up the urban sprawl. Rising out of one of these wetlands is a stretch of forest with an unusually sinister reputation as the global epicenter of deadly viruses. Far more dangerous than the leopards and snakes lurking in the undergrowth are the 70 species of virus-carrying mosquitoes breeding in the trees. Virologist Julian Lutwama has dedicated his life to understanding these deadly microbes.
There are so many people who have studied these diseases in Europe, in the USA, but they study them in the labs. We do study these actually in their natural areas.
Yellow fever, malaria, dengue, Ebola, this forest has it all. But it's best known for the virus that now carries its name.
Zika virus was first isolated in this forest. So because this forest is Zika forest, that particular virus was named Zika virus.
What makes the forest such a virus paradise is a combination of intense equatorial heat, plentiful stagnant water for the mosquito hosts to breed in, and a large concentration of animals to infect, thanks to their habitats being destroyed elsewhere. To study the viruses, researchers need to catch the mosquitoes that carry them in their blood. Mosquitoes detect their prey based on the carbon dioxide they give off, so a canister of dry ice is the perfect bait for a trap. Once they get close, a fan at the top sucks the mosquitoes into a sealed chamber. Different species feed at different heights in the canopy. The 36-meter tower at the center of the forest enables researchers to access the hunting altitude of their mosquito of choice. But it's dangerous work. Hunter can become hunted. Researchers here contract malaria as often as once every 3 months. Over the decades, dozens of viruses have been identified in the Zika forest. But Julian knows that there is much more work to be done.
So there may be probably up to about another 1 million viral infections that we haven't been able to identify so far.
Viral infections that could soon have an impact, because as Kampala spreads out further every year, the population moves steadily closer towards this deadly forest. East of the Zika forest, the shoreline of Lake Victoria winds all the way to Uganda's border with Kenya. But before reaching it, it's broken by the channel of a river branching northward. And not just any river. This is the start of the greatest river in Africa. This is the source of the Nile. The hunt for the Nile source began with the ancient Egyptians and continued into the late 19th century. British explorer John Speke was the first to suggest the pale blue waters of Lake Victoria as its origin. This claim has since been proven beyond doubt. Here, in its uppermost reaches, it's at its most turbulent. Raging white water thunders over rapids and waterfalls. Most local people fear the white water with good reason. But not Jeffrey Kabilia.
My family, they never been in this river before. They say I'm crazy.
Despite these grave warnings, Jeffrey happily takes on the rapids.
Why I do this? Because I love it. It's like my home.
Known as the White Nile, this is one of the world's most extreme kayaking spots. Growing up, Jeffrey watched foreigners riding the white water. Now, he has conquered the rapids and is one of the country's top competitive kayakers. As he weaves his way around the rocks, Jeffrey must maintain total focus. Even experienced kayakers have met their end in these waters. As water levels rise and fall, the behavior of the rapids is ever-changing. But Jeffrey can read this river like a book.
If I sit in the kayak, I read the water and I see this side is all right, this side is not all right. My first time, I was very scared. Now it is more than 50 south to run this rapid.
Beyond these wild rapids, the Nile continues its journey north towards the Mediterranean. In its wake, it leaves behind great rift lakes, diverse wildlife, curious islands, ancient forests, and Uganda's people who love their home and neighbours. In the vast continent of Africa.